Thanks to the organizers for giving me the opportunity to present the editorial process at Nature here. And yeah, so far I really enjoyed the conferences, the online conference here. Many great talks, and it's great to see to have such an international list of attendees. I really enjoy this online format. So yeah, I will talk about the editorial process at Nature, or not only Nature, but our whole portfolio of different Nature journals. And what is important to me, please ask questions at any time, because then I really can focus on the things that are not clear. So if you have questions about specific points of the editorial process, decisions, peer review, cover letter, just let me know, then I can talk a little more extensively about these things. And of course, you can also ask more general questions about nature, scientific publishing. Yeah, so don't hesitate to use this raising hand function or the Q&As or the chat to ask your questions throughout my talk. And maybe a few words on why I'm here. So there are actually many Nature publications over the last years on 2D van der Waals systems. I just show you some of the publications over the last 2 years, and the one in 2017 we already heard about during this conference. So this was the discovery of paramagnetism in a monolayer of van der Waals crystals. And then the following year, in 2018, we published this seminal work by the MIT group on correlated phases in twisted bilayer graphene. And like just these 4 papers are really a nice example that now you can basically study really all kinds of different phenomena and physics in 2D materials, in 2D van der Waals systems. Because now you have correlated phases, you have ferromagnetism, you have ferroelectricity. So really the whole range of condensed matter physics in monolayer crystals. And then just to round up, in 2019, we published papers showing Mare excitons in transition metal dicheicogenide heterostructures. So showing that these Mare lattices also affect excitonic features in TMDC heterostructures. So all this to show we published quite many papers on 2D van der Waals systems, and we have been continue to do so also this year, because this is a really exciting field, a lot of different developments. And as we already see during the conference, the degree of freedom to stack these different layers together or to twist them just gives so many different opportunities to control the properties of these materials. So yeah, this is really, a topic which we will continue to cover. And I talk about Nature, but of course there are many, many different publishers. So we are only one of them. And all of them have different publishing philosophies. So at the Nature Research Group, what we do a little different is that we are professional editors. So I don't have any ties to academic institutions. My full-time job is being an editor. And this makes us a little more independent because we don't have direct ties to the academic world. And at the Nature Research Group, we have a very strong screening. So we filter out many, many papers and only send out or publish a very limited number of them. And of course, Springer Nature, as you know, is a commercial publisher. And so the ultimate goal of the company is to make money. I don't want to deny that. But I don't see this as a necessary problem, because we want to earn this money by providing excellent service to the authors and to our authors and to the scientific community as a whole. And the mechanism making sure that we don't earn too much money is the competition with the other publishers. And I'm working at Nature, but I want to talk a little more broadly about all the other Nature journals. So by now we have quite a few of them, and we have this hierarchy of different journals. So at Nature, we strive to publish really the most important results. But then we have many other journals also with a very good reputation in the communities. So the nature research journals, for example, Nature Physics, Nature Electronics, Nature Materials, Nature Nanotechnology. And then like one step below our open access journals, like for example, Nature Communications. And by now we have so many journals that I think your research can find outlets within the Nature Research group. Just one word about Nature, because that's the journal I'm working for. So as I just said, we really want to filter out the most important scientific advances. And what most important means is not that obvious. I mean, there are these breakthrough papers, I think, where everybody agrees on that they are very, very important, almost the most important ones. But then there are papers which are more debatable. Should they go to Nature, to PRL, or any other journal, or to Science? And so, yeah, there is subjectivity in selecting these papers, and that's why I want to talk about the editorial process a little more later on. One point I would like to emphasize is that Nature is not only a journal publishing scientific manuscripts, so papers, but we also have scientific journalists working on topics which are more broadly related to research. So they can discuss science policy or funding, problems in education. We had many articles on the potential mental illnesses related to the hard work during a PhD thesis. So we cover these many different topics. And then finally, how science communication at Nature is done. So we have this interface between the researchers and public, and there are manuscript editors like me. And then, as I just said, we also have science journalists. So we have this gradual interface. Of course, researchers can also use social media to directly talk to the public. But by having an expert at each step, I think the communication of the great results in research get much better communicated. And then, yeah, our role at Nature, like just very conceptually. So my job is to filter. My main job is to filter the results in academic research. And then we want to enhance the results that you submit to us to make them better. And the main part how this is done is through peer review. So peer reviewers do a great job in making these papers better by being constructive critics. And then, of course, there are all the different editors working on the paper to make it better as well. And then when you publish with us, the results are amplified because our reputation makes sure that many researchers and many media outlets are looking at what is published at Nature. And by this, you have the best reach for the results possible. And just to drive home this point that I think filtering is really important, I will ask you two questions. So how many scientific papers are published each year across all disciplines? And how many of them do you read? I give you 10 seconds to think about these questions. Okay, the National Science Foundation published a report, I think last year or the year before. And yeah, I mean, the number of publications is growing steadily over the last years, 4% in 2017. And by now there are over 2.4 million scientific papers published each year. So this is just an enormous number. And as a researcher, okay, maybe you read one paper thoroughly per day. So it's hundreds of papers, and yeah, there's a huge gap. So filtering is really essential. And then I think that's why it's important that we have very selective journals. Okay, and then now I will talk about how the filtering works in practice. So if you have any questions related to this first part of my talk, please ask them now. And because now I will talk about the Editorial workflow. And again, if you have questions about a specific part of this workflow, please ask them. Otherwise, I will just go through them step by step. And how it usually, or what happens basically when you submit a paper to us. So the manuscript is assigned by my team leader, and I read about 10 manuscripts per week. So I have the time to thoroughly read your work. And then we make our first decision, usually within a week, let's say. And we try to be as fast as possible. And yeah, unfortunately, we have to reject many of the papers. We get a lot of exciting results, but we have to be very selective. So we reject about 80 to 85% of the papers, and only 20 to 15% go out to peer review. And then, of course, we have this repeating iterations of going to the referees, making decisions, going back to the authors. And in the end, we only publish 7 to 8% of all the papers that we receive. So yes, very selective. So it's really challenging to get your paper accepted. So don't be too disappointed if it gets rejected. But please continue to submit your best results to us. And before I go through the process step by step, maybe I will just start with the key takeaways that I would like you to keep in mind from this presentation. So yeah, when you write your paper or submit your paper, yeah, please get your main message across. What is the main result of your work? And then in the handling editor, so me, for example, will guide you through the editorial process. So all I talk about now is good to know, but we will help you going through this. And yeah, we look for papers with potential. In the case of Nature, we really look for the best papers. And we take the responsibility for the decisions, not we don't just count votes of the referees. And then the goal of peer review is to improve papers. So it should be a constructive process and that everybody can benefit of. And if we do make a revised decisions, please make the most out of this opportunity to revise your paper and to address the concerns of the referees. And if you think that the decisions is not justified, don't hesitate to appeal our decision. So don't be afraid to use this option. And actually, since the start of the pandemic, we received an unusual high number of appeals. So apparently, working from home motivated researchers to make the case so that we should reconsider our decisions. So we received a lot of appeals. Maybe I think the number is probably as high as like, yeah, let's say 20 to 30% of our decisions were appealed. So a lot of them. And as I showed you, there are many different Nature journals, so we can guide you to other journals which we might think might be suited better for your results. Okay, so now I will go through the editorial process step by step. Again, please don't hesitate to ask questions. So, by the way, even if there are questions, please don't hesitate to ask them right away. We don't have to wait until the end of the presentation.
Sure. Actually, I have one question before you go further. You said that among other journals, as you listed, that could be chosen other than Nature, you listed Science. And then my question is how you stand in front of Science, and what would be the key differences between you and the AAAS main flagman journal?
Yeah, thanks for the question. I mean, there are different ways you can see the difference between Science and Nature. I mean, from a publisher perspective, you can of course say, okay, Science is a society journal and Nature is part of a commercial publishing house. But apart from that, I think, I mean, the journals are quite similar because we both have professional editors and we both strive to publish the best results. And when I talk to the researchers in the different communities, it just seems the case that different researchers have different preferences for their research outlets. So some prefer Science, some prefer Nature. And I don't want to say anything bad about Science. They are a great publishing journal and they publish great work. So I think ultimately it comes down to what your preference is. Because I think both journals make a great job in communicating research and publishing the best results. Okay.
So we have one question. I guess it's sort of follow-up. If you don't mind me, I will allow the person to speak. So Juan Sierra.
Yes. Hi. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So it's just in the previous slide when you just mentioned papers with potential. So maybe it's a naive question, but potential for what? And I will explain you why. Because so at the end, the final decision if a paper is accepted or not, it goes to the editor.
Yes.
And so I know some cases that so there are some controversial results, but this is something that is expected in the community. And even some referees point out this, but at the end the paper is accepted. So what is the papers with, this is a naive question. What does it mean papers with potential? With potential for advancing the science, or with potentials to receive a lot of citations?
Yes. Yeah. As you can imagine, we get this question quite often, and I will answer it. But I will, if you're okay with it, I will ask you a little later because I plan to talk about this difference in any case.
Okay.
If that's okay, it's just
sure.
Like,
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, but thanks for the question. Yeah, before getting into this question, what is important or has potential or significant or whatever, yeah, first step is submitting your paper. And I don't want to spend too much time here. Yeah, please think about the cover letter and don't think too much about the format of your paper. So just write a paper and submit your results to us. And okay, maybe I will then talk about the cover letter later, but go straight to the question, which was just asked. So we look for papers with potential, and of course, it's a very good question. What does this mean? Because yeah, we want to publish the most important, the most significant results, but it's not clear cut what that means. So just to give you some examples of what the criteria we are looking for when we make our assessment, it's the aspect of novelty. Again, this is very difficult to pin down how novel something is, but we like manuscripts which show conceptual novelty, so something which is qualitatively new, not only an increase in numbers, but really a new idea or a new concept. Then another thing which can be very important is a mechanistic insight. So for example, a community observed a phenomena and then debates for years and years on different mechanisms which could explain this phenomena. And then finally, we received the paper with the experiment ending this controversy because it shows really like definitive conclusions, nailing down the mechanism. It can be a technological advance. It can be like originality plays a role as well, like something unexpected or an unusual approach to answer a question. And then sometimes we get these breakthrough papers, which really change our understanding of a certain phenomena, or which gives, or an observation gives new opportunities for a field of research to dive into. And then especially at Nature, it's very important that the results are generally applicable. So let's say you observe a mechanism or explain a mechanism or observe a certain phase in one material. And for us, then it's important that this is not really limited to this one material, but can be applied to many others. And then, of course, high quality data is important because it also helps that your conclusions are robust and solid. And then the question which was just asked, which is a very good one, is it all about impact? And then the immediate questions, how do you measure impact? So no, citations are not everything, because if this would be the case, we just publish papers in the largest communities, because the more researchers are working in a community, the more citations you get. I don't deny that citations play a role, because I think there is a very coarse and bad correlation between the importance of results and citations. But this is not the only metric that we use. So in the end, when I read a paper, I don't think, will this be cited a lot or not? Because in the end, we were scientists who understand the value of the work, and we have a passion for science. So if we have exciting results in a very small community, we know that the paper will not get cited a lot, but we still are very happy to publish the results. And then what also happens often, which I also should mention, is that certain topics become hot, if you want to call it like this. For example, now in 2D materials research, like these moire materials and all the strongly correlated phases that you can observe in them. And we do publish a lot of them, but not because they are fashionable, but because we receive a lot of submissions on these topics. So in the end, we are limited, or we are publishing these results which are submitted to us. And when a topic gets fashionable, we get a lot of submissions on this topic. So I hope this answers your question. If you have like a comment or want to ask more nuanced, yeah, please don't hesitate to ask the question again. Otherwise, I will go back to the cover letter. Because the cover letter can, Ivan, no. Okay. So I go back to the cover letter. Yeah.
Just a second. We have a question from Hadar. So Hadar, I will unmute you, and you can go ahead and ask a question. Okay, unmuted. Yeah.
Thank you. This is Hadar Steinberg from Hebrew University in Jerusalem speaking. So first of all, thank you for taking the time to talk to us. I have a question which is perhaps related to the cover letter in the sense of the communication between the PI and the editors. I know from rumors that certain PIs have a channel to communicate with the editors on the phone on certain matters which are very, very significant for example, preparing the publication of a very, very important paper. How often does it happen that you allow this sort of communication, and how often does it happen that you communicate with researchers who are not within the immediate circles of, let's say, the high publishing circles? Because I think that the ability to get feedback from the editor would really, really help one to focus the message of the paper or the final stages of the end game of a research program to make it suitable for publication with you.
Yeah, thanks for the question. I mean, how often it happens? I mean, I don't have a number, maybe like once a week that I talk with an author about certain results. And I mean, it's really independent if it's let's say a big name or not. I'm happy to talk with researchers independent of the status or reputation. When they submit a paper to us, just yesterday I discussed with a young PI who was not happy with our decision, and then we can discuss why we made the decisions. Maybe are we open to reconsider the decision. So if you feel that we misunderstood your paper, you can always feel free to reach out to us, and then if I accept a phone call or not really depends also on how busy I am in this given week. but we are open to talk with our authors, and there's no like, I mean, what you said, there's no, like the big names, they don't have a priority when it comes to phone calls. No, I'm happy to talk with everyone, big name or not, if they want to discuss their submitted work with us.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. And yeah, so a phone call is the exception, but the cover letter, yeah, a cover letter is always there, basically. So it's your chance to talk to the editor in a confidential manner. And what I want to emphasize is really to contextualize your work in the cover letter. So don't just repeat your results. Of course, you can explain them better or in a different way than in the paper, but really put them in the context, like, okay, the field developed in a certain way, and now my results fit in there in this way. Or also contextualize in the sense that you say, okay, look, we obtained these results in this specific system, but I think they are important also for others or for these different research fields because of this and this reason. And what is important also, please mention the reviewer exclusions. So the people you don't want to have look at your paper, and mention related papers or competing papers that are about to be submitted or on a preprint server. Okay, I talked about the impact. And yeah, I mean, the reasons for rejection are basically if the criteria I mentioned here, the specific criteria, are not fulfilled. So I don't want to spend too much time on there because otherwise you will run out of time. And then peer review. So yeah, it's the cornerstone of all scientific publishing. So many thanks at this point to all our peer reviewers. Without we wouldn't exist. And we try to pick the reviewers in an unbiased way. And as I already said, we don't just count votes. In the end, it's the editor who makes the decision. So we can overrule referees when it comes to the significance of the results, but not when it comes to the technical robustness of the work, because yeah, we're not the experts. So in that regard, we never overrule referees. And maybe just one anecdotal story. So peer review now is really like the standards, unimaginable to have scientific publishing without it. But 80 years ago, this was very different. So I just read you a letter that Albert Einstein wrote to an editor. So, dear sir, we had sent you our manuscript for publication and had not authorized you to show it to Specialized before it is printed. I see no reason to address the, in any case, erroneous comments of your anonymous experts. On the basis of this incident, I prefer to publish the paper elsewhere. So you see, Albert Einstein was not a big fan of peer review, but now it's really the gold standard because it helps to make the paper better. And maybe because we're slowly running out of time, I don't want to get into the different forms of peer review that we offer. Yes, Ivan, 5 minutes left? Okay, good. But maybe just talk about how we choose the reviewers. So usually we choose 3 reviewers, and one of them, like for condensed matter physics manuscript, one of them is an experimentalist who is an expert on this specific research topic. One is a theoretician having the expertise, and then the third one is a little outside of this research community, but gives this big picture view. And of course, we want that the peer review is constructive, so we want to improve the paper. And we, as editors, we honor the author exclusions, and we involve as many reviewers as needed. The standard is 3, can be less, can be more. And yeah, the reviewers' assessment. So as I said, they assess both the technical robustness as well as the significance of the work. So they do both a little bit of the editor job, but then also the scientific expert job. I will move on. Yeah, how our decisions are made. Again, we don't just count votes. We overrule reviewers, and when we make our decision letters, also we often guide the authors, okay, please address this and this concern, and maybe one of the concerns raised by the referees is not essential, as essential as others. So sometimes when we do make a revised decisions, we want that the paper gets better. So please make the most out of the opportunity to revise. What is important, I think, is if possible, additional experiments or additional calculations are always the most convincing way to address the concerns. And in the end, yeah, please provide a point-by-point response to all the concerns raised by the referees, and be professional or diplomatic and constructive. So I know that scientists are passionate about the results, but yeah, the peer review process should be as objective and neutral as possible. Reasons for rejection, I don't go into details now. Maybe I will talk a little bit about appeals. So as I said earlier, don't be afraid to appeal. So an appeal is a viable option that you can always choose if you think that the decisions was not justified. And reasons for an appeal can that you have additional data which address the concerns of the referees, or that there are really factual errors in the reviews. And if you have concrete evidence for bias of one of the referees, this might also be a reason to appeal. But please don't appeal when there are subjective disagreements on novelty or significance. So when you appeal, unfortunately, this happens quite often, but please don't rely on celebrity endorsements. So by that, I mean, don't mention that this and this big name said that and that about your paper. And also don't say, okay, you publish this paper, that's why you have to publish this paper as well. Usually this doesn't work. What does work is new data, scientific arguments, and maybe provide a new angle on how or why your results are important. And if you do reject your paper, there's always the option to transfer your work to one of the other journals, Nature Physics, Nature Nanotechnology, or also Nature Communications. And we can help you doing this by talking to the editors at these journals, and yeah, to make it easier for you. And you can do this transfer by including the review reports, or by getting new referees. That's up to you. But I have to say that the other journals are independent in making the decisions. So it's not like I make the decision, okay, your work is not published with us, but it will be published in Nature Physics. No, that's not how it works. I will contact, or can contact, if you wish, the editor at Nature Physics, and then he or she will make their decisions independently of my opinion. Okay, let's hope that your paper is accepted. That's of course the ideal outcome. And okay, because I'm running out of time, I don't go into details here, but then our production team will make sure that everything is accessible and in the Nature style. And then we try to communicate results by, for example, commissioning a news and views or research highlight on your work. And we have press offices and science journalists who make an effort to promote your results. Let's do that, and I think I will stop here just with this slide of key takeaways. So yeah, thanks for your attention, and thanks for being here on a Friday. And please let me know if you have further questions. Thanks.